Hello and welcome to Celtic Knitted Designs. In this video I'm going to teach you how to make a mug cozy. This is a start to finish tutorial that'll take you step by step from casting on to casting off and then how to put it all together to make your fantastic mug cozy. These are great for gifts. I'm doing a matching one to send to my little sister, and we are going to do this with stocking stitch and some chunky yarn, and then I'm going to show you how to do these little bits of detail at the end for a little bit of personal touch. Okay, so let's get started making our mug cozy. For this video you will need some chunky yarn. I'm using Stylecraft's Life Chunky in Cranberry. You will need some size 6mm knitting needles. For this project I'm using Knit Pro Zing 6mm shorter length aluminium knitting needles. You also need scissors, a darning needle or a yarn needle, a row counter, or you can use tally marks in a notebook. To decorate at the end, some yarn in a contrasting colour. I've gone for Stylecraft Life Chunky in Cream, so it's the same width, the same brand of yarn, but it's just a contrasting colour for the little decoration. So to start, we've got the main colour of yarn, which, as I've said, I'm using this gorgeous cranberry colour. It's got like little flecks of blue in it, which I just think is really nice, and it's very much my sister, so I'm sure she'll love this. So I'm going to start off with casting on using the long tail method. So the very first thing we're going to do is a slip knot. So we take up the yarn, wrap the ball end round our two fingers, wrap the yarn round and cross them over. Then we flip our fingers round to face us, so the backs are facing us. Then take the back piece of yarn and take it under that front piece and pull it through. And then we have the knot, and we just take our knitting needle and slide it through there and tighten to secure. So we will start by casting on 14 stitches. So the slip knot counts as your first stitch, so we need another 13 stitches. We're going to take that needle with all the stitches into our left hand, pick up our empty needle in our right, and we're going to start off by knitting all the stitches, so a knit stitch into every cast on stitch. So we are going to take our right needle and we're going to go into the base of that first stitch on the left, and so the right needle is at the back. Then take the ball end of the yarn and we wrap that round the back of the right needle and in between the two. And we then slide the left needle up, over and off. So we now have knitted that first stitch. And we're going to continue like that along the row. So in the bottom, yarn round the back, left comes to the back and off. And just continue. So now we've knitted that first row, we're going to take the needle with all the stitches into our left hand, empty needle into the right, and then we are going to purl this row. So the right hand needle goes into the base of that first stitch, but the right hand needle goes to the front and the working yarns to the front. So remember, for purl stitches, the right needle comes to the front and the working yarn is at the front. And then we wrap the yarn in between the two needles, round the front, the right needle slides down, across the back and slides off, and we just continue purling like that across all stitches. There we go. So that is a row purl. We switch the needles around again, and now we are going to knit. And as you can see, we're starting to get a bit of a pattern there, and this is called stocking stitch, or sometimes it's called stockinette stitch. So it's when you knit and then purl alternate rows. So we have this awesome, very traditional knit stitch pattern starting to form. So we are now going to knit again. There we go. And because we've only got 14 stitches and we're using this chunky yarn with 6mm needles, this will start to grow pretty quickly. So it's perfect for beginners or for a quick evening project. You switch your needles around again and we're going to purl. And this is just building on our stocking stitch. There we go. And now we will continue with our stocking stitch until we have a total of 42 rows. So whenever you see a bit of a diamond pattern like this, it's a knit stitch. And when you see the bumps like this in the back, it's a purl. So that's my top tip of knowing which stitch is to come next. So this is a knit row. Now we've already done 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So this is our 5th row, and we need to do 42 in total. So we will knit these. Oopsies, cut that out. So we will knit along this row and continue in stocking stitch until we get to 42. Okay, so this is row 35, and we are just knitting along our 14 stitches. So we're almost getting there. You can see it's a lot longer, and you can also see why I recommend a stitch counter, because it's kind of hard to count and to maintain where you are if you're counting in your head, especially if somebody starts talking to you and you get distracted. So a stitch counter is great for just keeping you on track. So that was row 35. I'm going to purl row 36. And just continue with our stocking stitch. Now, the beauty of this pattern is that you can alter the length to suit different styles of mugs, but because it's quite stretchy, it fits most mugs. I usually have it on quite a wide mug and it fits fine. A more narrow one, it's still spot on. But don't be afraid to make it a tiny bit longer or shorter if needs be. So we're in the last 2 rows now, so this is our last knit row, which makes row 41. And then our very last row, which is a purl. So if you are wanting to adjust the length so that it fits around narrower or wider mugs, then just make sure you finish on a purl row, or what we'd call a wrong side row. There we go. So that's us at 42 rows. And now what we're going to do is cast off knitwise. So we start by knitting the first 2 stitches, just like normal. Then we take the left needle and we go into the bottom of that first needle stitch on the right needle. Scoop it up. Use your right index finger to hold that second stitch in place. And what you're going to do is pass that first stitch over the second and then slide it off. And that's how we're going to cast this off. So you always have to have 2 stitches on the right needle to do this. So we need to knit another one. And then hold that second stitch in place, scoop up the first stitch, slide it over and off, and repeat to the end. And now we're on to the last 2. We're going to scoop that first stitch up, over and off. And then we've got the last stitch on the right needle. So we don't need the left needle anymore, so put that to the side. Get our scissors, leaving a wee bit of a tail. Don't need too much. Just cut the yarn from the ball end. Then using our darn needle with a big eye, because we're using this chunky yarn and we need to thread that through, we are going to loop this in. And we're going to slide that last stitch carefully off the needle. And we're going to thread it through with the darning needle. And just pull to secure. And there we go. There is our cast off edge of our mug cozy. So because we did this stocking stitch, you can see it's curled in a bit. But as soon as it's on the mug, that'll flatten out. So it's the same width, but it just flattens out when it's on the mug. Alternatively, you can block it, but it's not really necessary. You can just put it on the mug and it will start to form its shape. And it's quite nice the way it folds in at the corners because it just gives it a bit more depth. Now we get to sew it together. Now you can see we've got 2 tail ends on here. We've got the cast off tail end up here and we've got the cast on tail end down here. What we're going to do is with the cast off tail end, loop it through the yarn needle or darning needle, and we're going to wrap this round to join the top and bottom. So there you can see the cast on tail. This is the cast off tail. So we thread it through, and again, just to secure. Now we're just going to do that one more time at the top. So you can use any kind of stitch you like. I'm just going to pick these loops at the end here up, slide it through, and then I'm going to pass it back on itself. Flip it over so we see the wrong side, and I'm then going to thread it in here just to secure. I'm going to bring it into the middle, and that's purely so you don't see the little tail when we snip it off. So now that I've weaved it in, I'm just going to tie a little knot in there, like so. And then snip that cast off tail off. So we've got the top now joined, and we're just going to do the exact same for the bottom using our cast on tail. So we will thread that through the darning needle and join those opposite ends. So the cast off joins the cast on, and we just start with going into the corner and do that twice for just so that it's nice and secure. And then we are just going to pick up a couple of these loops. There we go. Nice one. And back on itself. And then we're going to weave it in. So we just turn it the wrong way around again. And we just weave it in by going in our little purl stitch bumps. Like so, and we're bringing it into the middle just to keep those little tail out of the way and keep it all nice and neat. So we'll tie a wee knot there just to secure, and then we snip that tail end off. So now that we've joined both ends of our mug cozy, it's starting to flatten out a bit and take shape, and it looks great. Now this bit's fab because we've only joined the top and bottom. That means that the handle of the mug can pop through. And also it means that because we've got quite a wide gap and it's stretchy, it can accommodate most mugs, so it's a great gift. You don't have to provide it with a mug. You can just literally give this awesome handmade gift in itself. Okay, so to do our decoration, I'm using contrasting colour, and so I'm going for this cream in the same make. So I'm going to cut a tail of it off, maybe about 40 centimetres, and I'm then going to thread it through my darning needle. And the first bit I'm going to do is the little loop, little bow at the top, which I think just adds a little bit of character and it's quite sweet. So I'm going to thread that contrasting yarn quite far through, and then we don't need the needle anymore. And I'm just going to tie a bow like you would tie shoelaces. So do a little knot, and then bit of a bow. Now you could do anything here. You could have some ribbon, you could do a little crochet chain, anything that you fancy. And then I'm just going to snip that to length. So you don't want it too long, but you kind of want it balanced. There we go, so that's our bow. So we have now cut around a 15 centimetre piece of the contrasting yarn colour, threaded it through our darning needle, and then we're going to tie a little knot at the end. There we go. And now we are going to do what's sometimes called the duplicate stitch or the Swiss embroidery stitch. And what that is mimicking the knit stitch that we have on here, but by embroidering it on. So that's what's made these little kind of chevron designs that I've put on here. To do this, we're going to take our darning needle and we're going to look at our knit stitches. Now you can see that we've got these nice V's, and each of those are one of our knit stitches. To do this Swiss embroidery, we're going to go in the base of one of the V's, so into the back, from the back to the front, and the bottom of one of the V's. Pull it through till we get to the knot. There we go. And then what we're going to do is follow that base of the V up, and we see we've got the arms of that V on each side. And we're going to go into this one first with the embroidery needle, darning needle. We're going to go into the back of the first one, back of the second arm of the V. So we've gone through two. I'm going to slide that darning needle through, and then we're going to go back into the base of the stitch with the darning needle, and we're just going to pull that to secure. Now with the Swiss stitch, sometimes you just need to kind of shape it and place it, but you can see there that we have another V but of contrasting colours, and it actually blends in quite nicely and looks pretty cool. And you can do whatever kind of shape you want with that. So I'm just going to do another one up here. So I'm going to have a cream, a cranberry, and then I'm going to have another cream. So into the base, pick up the first arm with your darning needle of that V, the second arm, slide that through, and then going back into the base. And there we go, pull through to secure, and just make sure it's sitting how you would like it to sit. Nice one. And then just do however many more and wherever you like. So back into, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to just want it slightly different, just so it looks cool. And then I'm just going to do one more. Just adjust that to suit. And then I'm just going to turn it round so that we're seeing the inside. And I'm just going to weave in the tail now, just to secure those Swiss embroidery stitches in place, and go back on myself and just do a little knot to secure. and then cut off that tail end. And because we've already got a knot here, I'm just going to weave that through once just so it's secure. Weave it through there. It's kind of frayed a bit, but that's fine. And then do another wee knot to secure. So there we go. We've got our Swiss embroidery stitches. And we can just shape them a little bit to suit. Nice one. And we've got our little bow. And there you have it. Your hand knitted stocking stitch mug cozy. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful and enjoyed following the steps of this knitting project. Please hit like and give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. If you click the little bell icon once you subscribe, you'll get notified every time I add a new project to the Celtic Knitted Designs YouTube channel. Thank you, happy knitting!